Hi, could I please get 2 tickets to Detective Pikachu, please?
Squirtle! Oh, Bryce, can I please get a large Coke and popcorn while you're there?
Sure. And 2 large Cokes and a large popcorn, please.
Squirtle, Squirtle!
Ew.
Oh, did that Squirtle really spit out Coke?
Thanks. Could we also please get some butter on the popcorn?
Squirtle!
Ugh, what the fuck? Okay, forget the popcorn. We're going to watch the movie. See ya. Squirtle!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the House of Mario, the award-winning Nintendo podcast backed by 120 Power Star rating, and the doors to episode 96 are open. I'm your host, Drew Agnew, and joining me, as always, is the delightful, lovely... That's it, Bryce DeWitt. How you going, mate?
The delightful, the lovely, that's it.
Yep. That's all you are. You're delightful, you're lovely, but you don't have much more going on for you, mate.
Oh, that's depressing.
That is depressing. Oh, so sad. But you know what isn't depressing, Bryce? This is our Detective Pikachu spoiler cast. So I think for about the first 10 minutes or so, we're going to put our thoughts out there, spoiler free. But if you have not seen the movie, do not listen past that point. There will be timestamps in the show notes to let you know about that.
Yep.
And yeah. So, Bryce, we went and watched the movie today.
Yes, we did.
We'll jump straight into it. What did you think of the movie?
Pretty good.
Pretty
overall.
good.
Yeah. Like, I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of sort of nostalgia sort of riddled through there, and sort of a lot of moments where you're just like, God damn it, why can't we have that in real life?
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely emphasise, like, oh, I want the Pokemon world to be real.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a lot of things sort of attributing to, like, how cool it would be to have Pokemon in the real world, I guess. But at the same time, you know, I think that just the movie in itself overall was probably 80 out of 100.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great movie.
It was great, yeah. Like, obviously, the problem with video game adaptations, and this has always been the problem with them, is that they'll never 100% everything that you want in a video game movie.
Yeah.
As per se. So it's sort of just like, well, yeah, it fits the bill pretty accurately, really.
Yeah. Well, Pokemon definitely has a leg up because of its involvement in, you know, other media apart from just video games. It's branched out.
Oh, yeah.
It's been in other media since, you know, for
video games,
2 decades.
anime.
Yeah. And when this movie first got announced too, we were just like, oh god, a Detective Pikachu movie. Like, on paper, how lame does that sound?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But the way they got it going and everything, I thought it was just fantastic.
Well, yeah, the way the movie is it doesn't really pan out like if you went and bought the Detective Pikachu game and played that, and then you wouldn't get the same sort of.
It's a similar
thing.
It's a similar like storyline, but just the vibe and the atmosphere is obviously so much different.
Yeah.
You know, just like the voices, obviously from Ryan Reynolds to I don't even know who the voice actor is for the game for Pikachu, but it's just like so much different.
Yeah.
In the game, he's more of like, oh, I'm a detective. Like, he's like more of that type of personality.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why they wanted Danny DeVito in that seat. But to be honest, I think Ryan Reynolds was way better.
Yeah, I do too.
For this,
a lot more just like casual and fun.
Yeah.
Sort of persona.
Like, I mean, when you think Danny DeVito, especially nowadays, I just think of the Trash Man. I'm the Trash Man. You know, I just think...
all I can think about is bloody Inspector Gadget after bloody... my bloody YouTube bloody loophole I went through last night, just going through all this stuff.
I sent him a dead meme video, he watched it, and then he decided to go on a loophole of old Inspector Gadget clips before we went...
It wasn't a clip, it was the full movie.
Well,
I watched
too.
the full movie.
And he watched an episode of the cartoon as well, but... regardless, we're not here to talk about Inspector Gadget. So
this is a Metacritic score. Detective Pikachu is sitting on day one. Obviously, the media's already gone and seen it. On Metacritic, it's sitting at a 56 out of 36 reviews. So it's a pretty low score, especially compared to Rotten Tomatoes, which we'll talk about a bit later. But The highest score on Metacritic critic is 80 from IGN, and they say Smith's character gives the story an emotional weight, and Reynolds delivers an enduring comedic performance that's closer to his subversive Deadpool stick that you would expect. So that's the 80, and then like other places put it at the 60, even down to pretty much 40.
The problem with Metacritic though as well is that it's taking like an average of this. It takes an average of the score from all these different places, and the real problem with Pokemon, I suppose, is a lot of people impose nostalgia on it. They don't really see the newer side of Pokemon too much, and that's been a problem with Pokemon for years. Like a lot of people look back at Red, Blue, and Yellow, and they're like, "Oh, those are the only Pokemon," sort of thing. And obviously, going through the movie, there's a lot more involvement with Pokemon of all different species from across all the games and all that stuff,
which was awesome.
Yeah. And like if you're really into Pokemon and you know all that stuff, then it's really good. But
because there's no like the Pokemon, they haven't gotten any worse. Like there's brilliant designs in all the new generations too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like people are always very quick to point out Trubbish and that, but like the 5th generation, it was great designs.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be real, guys. Trubbish versus Grimer.
Trubbish is fine. I don't hate Trubbish.
It's really not. Yeah.
It's like here's a garbage bag. Like we're talking about Pokemon, guys.
Yeah, here's a garbage bag, and here's a bigger garbage bag. Like that's Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
And there's a review from The Wrap. So they say Detective Pikachu slogs. And its joys are fleeting, like a battle with a wild Mewtwo that you just can't seem to catch. So I disagree wholeheartedly with that. I thought it was a great movie, but
yeah,
like we do come into this with a bias that we absolutely love Pokemon as well.
Yeah,
but
I don't think that stops me from, judging it fairly. Like if you could compare this movie to many video game movies of the past, as I said before, it's definitely not in the same rungs as them. Like, you're looking back at the old Super Mario Brothers movie, or,
yeah, good movie.
You look at movies like the Mortal Kombat movie and Tomb Raider and all that stuff that don't really fit the bill. But, like, the Tomb Raider movies were always decently successful and stuff like that because of the way they appealed to other people.
Same with the Resident Evil movies.
And the Resident Evil movies, exactly.
I remember I was talking to Mum. Resident Evil movie was on TV, and Mum was talking about Resident Evil. I'm like, oh, they're based off video games, and she had no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
She just thought they were an action movie.
Well,
franchise.
Yeah, that's where the stigmatism sort of comes in as well. Is that if people see Pikachu in a movie, they're like, "Oh, it's a movie about Pokemon, which is a video game." But with Resident Evil, they don't. They go so far as to pretty much not attribute them so close to the games. So Resident Evil movies sort of become their own thing.
Yeah,
Well,
if they did a movie where it's just like slowly going through a mansion looking for ammo. You slowly
turning the corner.
You're slowly aiming at this zombie's head to make sure you get a headshot to conserve your ammo. Yeah, be a bit of a boring.
It'd be a slog, right? Yeah, and like this doesn't do the Resident Evil treatment. It tries to stick as closely to Pokemon as possible while also sort of maintaining its own vision, but it doesn't do it inaccurately, which is really good. Like, for a director to be put on, and I mean, I'm always going to compare Uwe Boll, who is somebody who cashes in on real-life adaptations of video games for movies pretty consistently, and they're almost always completely shattered in reviews.
Yeah.
Like, in comparison to that, I think the directors did a really good job, the writers did a really good job, and it portrays Pokemon very well. And yeah, like there's not that much in the way of directing of fight scenes or anything like that. No, there is a few of them, obviously, but most of it is about the mystery of what is happening.
Which, like, I felt like I won't talk about it here, but like I was excited like throughout the whole thing. I was hooked for like what's going to happen next. There was no real down points for me. I feel like a few of the sort of emotional scenes, it didn't make me really feel anything, except for like one, which we'll go into.
Yeah,
but For the most part, what I really enjoyed about it was that it felt like Pokemon, but it's different. Obviously being real life, and it wasn't like Pokemon shoved down your face, like down your throat, not down your face. But it's like this is
Pokemon exist here.
Yeah, Pokemon exist here, and this is what they would look like if they were in our environment.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's good. Yeah, it portrays it really well from beginning to end, in my opinion. And yeah, I think all the actors did splendid jobs, and they did really well with interacting with things that aren't actually there, and it's great.
Yeah. One thing I always thought about since watching this Garfield movie.
Yep.
So in the special director's scene or whatever, director's commentary. Sorry, they'll like explaining how they got things to move, which Garfield interacted with. And when I was watching this as a little kid, it just blew my mind how, say, if Garfield's walking across the bed, what they have to do to make the bed move when his paws hit the doona.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I'm always thinking about how these movies get made when actors have to be pretending they're holding something or pretending they're patting something or just talking to something that isn't there. It's really interesting how it all comes together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, this movie does a really good job of all of that. It's really hard to talk non-spoilery stuff with examples, but basically it's the same sort of deal. They have to move, except they have to move cars around things, or have to shift grass, or stuff like that. And I think that the movie does that pretty spectacularly, and all the Pokemon designs are pretty well on point for the most part. Some things are a bit weird. Obviously a lot of people have commented about Mr. Mime in the past with the initial trailer.
See, even nothing really stood out to me, because I guess we're already used to it. We've seen Lickitung and Mr. Mime. They're probably, and Ludicolo, they're probably the ones that stand out the most for looking just weird.
Oh yeah, but
But Ludicolo looks weird in the best kind of way.
Yeah, exactly.
When you look at a sprite from, say, Ruby and Sapphire when he was introduced, he is just like a big jolly maraca duck.
Yeah, yeah.
But in this, he's just a big, wet, disgusting,
goofy thing.
Don't know what he is. How his hat, how it looks like a real plant.
Yeah.
And his fur just looks disgusting and damp.
Yeah.
What if you were a Pokemon trainer? Why would you make that thing your partner? You'd probably get a Charizard. You'd probably want a Pikachu, because a Pikachu would be quite convenient. It can sit on your shoulder and that. But just this big wet Ludicolo. Oh well.
Anyway,
I guess let's get into the spoilers.
Yep.
So if you have not seen this movie and you do not want it spoiled, stop listening now.
Yep, because we're going to go through it.
We are.
We're going to go through it.
I'm going to go right through it.
Okay, you ready for it?
Are you ready?
Yeah. 3,
2,
1.
All right,
we're going through it.
All right, the movie opens up, right, and there's some Pokemon there.
Yep.
All right, so if you've heard that spoiler, you've had that spoiled for you. Sorry about that.
Yep.
So it opens up with, say,
Pidgeot.
Yeah, Pidgeot and Pidgey and all of that sort of flying through the sky.
Yep.
You can see all the houses and that in the town that our protagonist is from.
Yep.
And
so it opens up with Tim Goodman.
Yeah, I
had
had
Justice Smith.
Yeah, I had goosebumps when this was coming on. Just it's the first.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Because you can imagine the first episode from the anime in Pallet Town.
Yeah.
When it's a similar shot, as well as just starting any game.
Yeah, for sure.
Where that happens. Yeah.
So it's opened up with Justice Smith playing Tim Goodman, accompanied by his friend, who you won't see much throughout the movie.
That's right. Yeah.
Trying to find his name here because I'm kind of useless. But it was here 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. So you look for that, and basically it opens up with
Karen Sony playing Jack. There you go.
Jack. Okay. Opens up with them two trying to. They spot a wild Cubone, and his friend tries to help him catch it because he has had a troubled past with Pokemon.
Yeah.
He doesn't have much trust in that for him, so
he
tries to catch a Pokemon, and he throws the Pokeball, it gets out, and it attacks him, and he makes him feel even worse about himself.
It's
Doesn't
work out to him.
Great opening for the movie, just it's funny,
and
it's cool to see the Pokeball for the first time, just in real life.
Well, I mean, it sets up the scene as well pretty well in the dialogue, because he kind of just said, Tim kind of just says, "Well, you're not doing this for me, are you?" And Jack's like, yes. So obviously he brought him to see this Cubone because this Cubone is also lonely, wants him to catch it, so he'll have somebody look after him when Jack leaves town, which he's going to do.
Even little bits like that, like saying that the Cubone's lonely, and that's his Pokedex entry, like the lonely Pokemon.
Yeah,
just like little nods like that. It's like there's constant little things, like the little details,
and the joke he sets up as well. And it's just like, I don't know how you can wear the skull of your dead relative there, but
he says like
it fits you well.
He said, pull it off really well.
You pull it off really well. Yeah,
and you're just like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, he's just like, he didn't like that.
Because there are a lot of things in Pokemon where it's like, you're wearing the skull of your mother.
Yeah. It's a bit rough.
This is a bit rough, isn't it?
But yeah, Cubone escapes a Pokeball and obviously isn't very happy about it.
It just like throws his bone and it just like makes a little semi-explosion.
Yeah, sends him flying. And it shifts on. They obviously didn't catch the Cubone. They're having a talk in town, and Tim receives a phone call. Can't hear who it is, and Jack asks him after he hangs up the phone, who was it? And it says that there's been an accident, and Tim's going to Rhyme City to deal with this accident. And Rhyme City is basically like, when it shows it and when it explains it, which is like the first thing that happens in the next scene, it is a big thriving city that is made, well, not really made by, but pseudo-made by
Howard Clifford.
Howard Clifford, yes. Yeah. Played by, God, his name.
Bill
Nye.
Nye.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, there's that actor that has like the same name but spelled differently as Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah, because like when he come up on the screen, like Bryce and I basically had the same reaction. Like, hey, it's that guy from
that thing.
A lot of movies, which I can't name one.
Yeah, Love Actually.
He's just
he's a singer guy from Love Actually. If you need to know, for context reasons. Yeah, he's that cocky singer guy. But basically, it explains that Rhyme City does have a mayor. This character played by Bill Nye is not the mayor, but he's the leader of a huge company whose vision is to have a utopia where humans and Pokemon are just living together. They're not partners per se. They work together.
Yeah, there's no Pokeballs, there's no battles.
Yeah, Pokeballs, no battles, no nothing like that. It's all considered like a partnership city rather than...
all equals, yeah.
Yeah, it's all equality, which is like, where Pokemon sort of fit into the story, is that all these Pokemon are always doing things. They've got jobs and stuff like that. Yeah. You see in concurrent scenes where like a Marchamp is directing traffic around a Snorlax, for example. They work in harmony and sort of do everything together. And it's really cool to see like all these Pokemon and people sort of just walking around together. And this city's like a utopia for that.
It was a great plot point to also like have a reason for like, there's no battles here, there's no this here.
Yeah.
And just to have Pokemon out and about.
Yeah,
because otherwise we'll be questioning where are the battles, where are the gyms, where's all this stuff that makes up the Pokemon world and every other form of media we're used to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The actual design of the place itself was just a great a great setting.
I agree too.
It looked very lively, very bustling. There's lots of Pokemon animated everywhere. It shows that the budget wasn't wasted. Like, it was used trying to detail out everything about this city and like what it represents, and that's great. That's what you want. But as Tim gets into the city, he goes to visit his father's precinct, where you sort of learn that his father was a detective. Something we didn't mention near the start of the movie. Near the start of the movie, there was a laboratory. I'd completely forgotten about this for a second.
Right. Yeah, of course.
The main plot point of the movie here, and we're forgetting it. But there's a laboratory where Mewtwo's being experimented on. Mewtwo breaks free, and he's chasing after a car. It's then seen that Mewtwo blows the car off the road, and that was the fate of Tim's father. Yeah. So that's what the accident was pertaining to. So Tim goes to the precinct where his father was working, and him and Snubbull have a bit of a stare off because the Snubbull doesn't know what to think of him, and his work colleague, his father's work colleague, works in, who again
Rhyme City in the
at the Rhyme City
police
department.
station. Yeah.
And that was played. That's Lieutenant Hyde Yoshida, played by Ken Watanabe.
Yeah.
So he walks in, and he's basically there to explain that, you know, your father's been in an accident, and you need to sort of clear his shit out. Yeah, sort of what's going on with his apartment. He has his keys and everything.
Do you reckon that look he made before he walked into the room was like, he looked like he was going to be like a bit of a shady figure, like more like a bad guy?
No, I think he was more, at least in my opinion, from how I saw it, he was afraid to sort of approach him because it's obviously hard to tell somebody that their parents are dead, let alone somebody that's young and, you know.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
As we find out a little bit later, not that much later, Tim doesn't have a mother and hasn't had one since he was 11. So his father was the only living parent left, and
he grew up with his grandma.
Yeah.
Just that face he made before he walked into the room, like he sort of looked like, I've got to deal with this type of thing.
Yeah. And
when he come back later in the story to like, oh no, my dad's still alive and all this type of thing, and he's like trying to dismiss it. He sort of looked like he was covering stuff up, like he didn't want to find out he was alive for some reason. And it sort of made me think like, what's going on here? But obviously we find out that no, that's not the case. That isn't the case. But that is something I was thinking about.
Yeah,
while watching.
And in a sort of murder mystery almost movie, you kind of have to suspect these characters are sort of, you know, they might have something hidden about them. But yeah, he turns out to be pretty genuine, and he basically just explains that his father loved him very much and always did, and he always thought about him even while he was doing his work, and that his apartment might be a bit messy. So he takes the keys, goes to the apartment, and starts checking it out.
Yeah, and he finds Misty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not Misty.
So on the way to his apartment, he spots the Psyduck, and the Psyduck's sort of like and you know, runs off or whatever, and he goes to check in at his dad's apartment building, and the clerk at the desk is asleep, and there is a Trico asleep on the front window of the place, and the Trico tries to wake him up once he wakes up himself.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen, so he just takes the keys and goes to unlock the mailbox, and that's where you meet the next major important character of the movie. Yeah,
so that's where you meet Lucy Stevens.
Yes,
played by Catherine Newton.
Yeah,
and she comes off at the very start as like very, I guess
boisterous.
Boisterous, aggressive. Like, you know, she comes out with her phone recording straight away, saying, "Do you know this information about the story of your father or what happened at this?"
Young reporter for CNN, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, so she comes off like that, and she's hassling him, and he sort of tries to dismiss her and just go off to where he's going.
Yeah.
Off to the apartment. And he goes in there and sort of has a bit of a look around, and he finds a bit of a vial, which we learn that is the R serum.
Well, first, he does check around his room as well. And you learn sort of just by checking around his old childhood room that was in his father's apartment that Tim had once aspired to be a trainer.
Yeah.
There's like lots of posters and stuff of championship sort of promotional material and all that stuff. Yeah, he was really interested in being a Pokemon trainer.
Yeah, from the Sinnoh Pokemon League.
Yes, from the Sinnoh Pokemon League and you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, they had an Articuno versus Steelix.
Yeah, Fight Night poster. Yeah. I was just thinking about that. But yeah, he finds that vial.
Yeah, so he finds the vial. He opens it. Starts spraying out of its smog everywhere, and he goes and puts it out the window.
Yep.
And that's when a bunch of Apom sniff it up, and he just dismisses it, chucks it in the bin.
Yep.
And he's snooping around a bit more, and he hears a noise. Lo and behold, it's our protagonist, Mr. Detective Pikachu himself, in the flesh, or the CG.
In the fur.
In the fur. He's got no flesh, it's just all fur. And they sort of have a back and forth about whether they can understand each other or not. And Detective Pikachu is very much like, yes, you can understand me. And Tim's trying to dismiss it, saying no.
And you've seen this in the trailer. That's the exact scene you're thinking of if you've seen the trailers.
Well, if they're listening to this, they would have seen the movie too, unless they wanted to spoil the movie.
Yeah, you never know. There's some people out there that don't really care for spoilers, and it won't tarnish their sort of view of the movie. So, but yeah, it's the same scene set up from the trailer.
Then the APOM come through, and
they're aggressive.
Yeah, they're very aggressive. They
look
aggressive. Savage is a light way to put it. These APOM, the way they're showing their teeth and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
The sort of premise is that this gas that he's accidentally released has sent them off, because they didn't actually look that aggressive when the smog had been going past them, but once they had gotten a decent whiff of it,
well, they were just chilling. They're happy little monkeys beforehand.
Yep. Yeah.
And
that's exactly right.
So one comes in and starts, trying to pretty much kill them both.
Yeah.
And they have a bit of a struggle with it, and Detective Pikachu sort of doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Tries to
he doesn't know how to fight him.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know what's going on.
No.
Then a bunch more APOM come in, and that's when the
chase is on.
The chase is on. And this was a funny scene, sort of I guess the first bonding between the two, Tim and Pikachu. Seeing him run through the apartment building, through like all the hot water system and all that type of thing, and
trying to escape these rabid APOM.
Yeah. And sort of towards the end of the scene, you see like the electricity sort of power up their tails, and they become even stronger.
Yeah.
And they're like doing the smashes and actually like breaking the brick walls and everything with their tails and all that, and
trying to get away.
And they eventually escape down the garbage hatch.
Yep, not without taking the belt first and the upper shirt of Tim.
Yeah.
So he's got no pants now.
And that was funny too when he runs into the crowd saying, ravenous APOM or whatever he says, and then it's just like two APOM just like chilling out and in his pants, just being stupid.
Yeah.
Everyone pretty much just looks at him and goes,
"What do you want about?"
What?
Yeah.
They're just normal APOM.
Yeah. And Pikachu shrugs it off pretty lightly. And then you've got the sort of market scene that sets up something else from the trailer, which was when Tim asks somebody if they can hear Pikachu.
Yeah.
And they can't, obviously.
Even though I saw this like a fair few times in the trailers that came out, still loved it just as much in the movie. It's just a classic scene. Like, can you hear him? It's like, yes, I can. A Pika. It's just so good how it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. And at this point, seeing that it's the only way that he can try and find out who he is, Pikachu suggests that they team up and try to figure out that he suggests it's destiny, and he wants someone to help him try and figure out why this is happening. And after mentioning that he was just here to wrap up his stuff with his dad now that he's gone, Pikachu turns around and says, "Wait, you're his son?" And he sort of said, "Yes." Takes off the cap and realizes that it's named towards his apartment, meaning that this Pikachu must have been his Pokemon partner, his father's Pokemon partner. So they go and get a coffee.
Naturally. They
go and get a coffee to try and figure this out, and, he's looking crazy. Tim's looking crazy trying to talk to this Pikachu at the bar that's just saying Pika Pika back to him, and...
I love the looks the barman's giving him.
Yeah. And we find out that this Pikachu is a very serious coffee addict.
Oh.
He loves his caffeine.
Yeah.
Thinks it's fantastic. Tim points it out a couple of times.
He's a detective. He needs nothing more than coffee. That's all he needs to fuel himself.
Yeah. And at this point as well, there was a scene from this coffee bar that also it was in another trailer. So a lot of the trailers that were brought out for this movie were very much close to the start of the movie, which I suppose is what you expect. There wasn't a lot of stuff in the trailers that was from later on in the movie.
Yeah, apart from U2, which they did at the end of the trailers.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty much...
sort of set up something.
Oh, the Greninja as well. In the trailers, yeah.
Yeah, the Greninja, yeah. And after cracking a few jokes, Pikachu asks for another coffee and the Ludicolo goes, "La la la!" You know,
I love it so much.
yeah. It was just this dopey ass Ludicolo gets him another coffee, and Pikachu eventually convinces Tim that we need to work together to find out whether your dad's alive or not, because I have a gut. He says, I have a feeling in my jellies that your dad is alive, and that, you know, I'm here for a reason. I didn't just wake up and not remember anything for absolutely no reason. So there we go. The next day they intend to move on, but not first after going back to Tim's dad's apartment and having a good old snooze. So yes.
Yeah. So what happens next?
What's next?
I can't remember now.
That's where you're lost.
Yeah, I'm lost now. What happens after that?
So after finding out about that vial, Tim suggests that it might be a piece of evidence. After Pikachu's been up all night drinking coffee, trying to figure out a lead, he suggests that they go and see his father's co-worker, who we met earlier on, and Pikachu says we can't really trust anyone just yet, because we don't know who's involved with the situation or not. Like, there's a reason I've lost my memory, obviously. They don't want me to remember something, whoever it may be. And that vial is weird. And I feel like if we just hand that over to the police, then we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, and then they say they can't trust anyone.
Yes.
Don't have the trust yet, so they can't go to the police, yeah.
So they start looking for a lead, and the first person they can think to approach is Lucy, because she seems to let on that she knows more than what they do. And they do. They go see Lucy, and you sort of see Goodman and his son at this point having a bit of a tussle.
Yeah, this is where they're doing that basically ad for TV, and you're seeing them record it.
Yep.
At their, I guess their
studio.
Their studio, yeah. Yep. And once they stop recording, you can see that the relationship isn't so good.
Yeah, yeah.
That the son comes across as like a bit of a prick, really.
Yeah, he does, absolutely.
Yeah,
yeah. He dismisses Lucy very quickly when she tries to approach him about something.
Yeah, says like, you know, turns around and says also, you know, get better fashion or
yeah, get a better fashion sense, which was a bit harsh.
She had a very lovely jacket on.
Yeah. I thought she was looking pretty good with that jacket.
Oh,
looked nice.
Well, so did Tim.
Yeah, and Tim looked good too.
Oh, Tim. Oh, I meant Tim.
Yeah, I know. That was the joke.
Okay. Tim thought that's when sort of he noticed her a bit more in a bit more of a sexual way, a bit more of a love interest. Mm-hmm. So when it sort of introduced the idea of that Tim wanted to breed.
Christ. Sure.
That's a good way to put it.
They go back to Lucy's office, and they're trying to figure out this file.
Yeah, cause she's got a heap already.
She's found them.
She's already done her investigation. Journalism.
Yeah, exactly. She's found them around all sorts of different places in the city, and she knows that they're connected to something, and they're labeling these vials as an R serum, which, because there is a letter R written on the cap of the bottle.
From Team Rocket.
Yeah.
Who knows? I wonder if that is like sort of like a small little Easter egg.
Maybe.
But the bad thing is Team Rocket.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe.
So she gives them a clue in saying that down by the docks is where a lot of shady business goes on. And that it's too dangerous for somebody to come alone and investigate themselves. So she drops a hint that she wants somebody to go with her.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the hint, and he just goes by himself.
I love that. I love that line too. It's like, yeah,
I'm pretty good alone.
Being alone at night.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at being alone myself too.
Just like, yeah.
There's a lot of small adult jokes in this movie.
Yeah, and Pikachu's like, no.
Lady killer here. Yeah.
Especially like if you're trying to impress a woman, so yeah, I'm pretty used to being alone. Yeah, at night. Yeah.
Something I never really got out was that I actually don't think he ever told her within the sequence of the entire movie that he could talk to Pikachu.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
Which is very strange. That's probably like a massive flaw there, because I feel like that's something that they should have had sort of in plain view.
And she never really even noticed.
She never questioned it. Yeah.
Yeah, she just...
So maybe it's something that they had in post-processing that they forgot to put in.
Yeah, well, I don't think she really gave a crap whether she could talk to him or not.
Yeah.
Sort of just like she was set in her ways of trying to get the information she wanted and get the case solved.
Yeah.
And sort of getting the position in her career she wanted.
Yeah.
And apart from that, she didn't really have that many more interests, really.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And that was something I hadn't thought about because,
Yeah, it kind of went by too quickly. But they did make it through the movie that, like, sometimes he was talking to Pikachu and she was like, "What did you say?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing." And
nothing. I was just talking to my little rat here.
I was talking to my rat. Yes, exactly, my rat.
My big furry rat.
So they go down to the docks and what do they find?
Big bag of meth. No,
That's Detective Pikachu, everybody. All right.
What do they find, Bryce?
All right, they find Mr. Mime at the docks.
Yes.
And they've come to the conclusion that Tim's dad's informant was not a person, it was a Pokemon. And this Pokemon was Mr. Mime.
Of course.
So, Mr. Mime, trying to run, because he's obviously probably got himself into some shit here, doesn't do a very good job of it because he's a mime. So he just mimes all the getaway actions. This scene, the entirety of the mime scenes were in the trailer. In the trailers. So you sort of already know how they play out if you've watched them.
Yeah. They only left out like a little bit. Really.
Yes, only a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Which was a bit more of the dark side of it.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Where they like mimed tipping gasoline on Mr. Mime and then lighting a match.
Yeah. I do like how Tim says, "Oh, we've got to sort of get in his head a bit more," so he starts miming.
Yeah.
He
has a really good way of thinking during that scene too.
Yeah.
You know,
sort of like open his door and like step through it, and the way Mr. Mime just looks at him, going like, "Oh crap!" Like his eyes wide open, just like astonished.
Crappy nose.
Yeah, and he like pulls out the chair, sits down, and starts like tipping something on him, and Pikachu's just there saying, "Oh, is it water? Is it this? Is it that?" And it's like gasoline. Oh, it's like, this is getting dark quick. I like it. Yeah.
So after that exchange, Tim accidentally drops the invisible match and cuts away before Mr. Mime is set on invisible fire. Yeah. So it was a bit of a jokey scene.
I do like that cut. Like it's just like, oh, and look at Mr. Mime's face.
You just see this.
Yeah, it just cuts.
Yeah. Mr. Mime was one of the more expressive Pokemon in the film, and
I mean, he has to be. He's a mime.
I guess so. But you know what I mean. He's just. It was very comedic relief scene, but
that's great.
Mr. Mime did inform them of the information that the R was being distributed at the round room, and at this point we don't know what the round room is, and neither do they. But they know where it is. They find out where it is, so they go to the round room, and it turns out the round room is an illegal Pokemon battling ring because again, battles aren't allowed in Rhyme City.
And this is one of my favourite scenes of the movie.
This is a really good scene. Because everybody's going into the nightclub. They join everyone. They've got 2 DJs at the decks, and they've got Loudred as speakers.
Yeah. Apparently the DJ's played by Diplo. I don't know who that is.
Diplo. I've heard his name before.
Yeah. I'll click on his page while you talk.
Okay, cool.
Because like I didn't recognise him as an actor.
Yeah. No, I don't think he is an actor. I think he's an actual DJ.
Yeah, okay. Thomas Wesley Pants Jr., so blah, blah, known professionally as Diplo, is an American DJ and record producer based in Los Angeles, California.
Well, there you go.
He is co-creator and lead member of electronic dancehall music project Major Lazer.
Oh, there you go.
Major Lazer. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
A member with the supergroup LSD with Sia and Labyrinth, also working with producer DJ Skrillex. There you go.
So that's who Diplo is, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. He's Major Lazer.
And like, I really love this scene, how it has the Loudred.
Yeah, the Loudred it's like a really wicked sort of scene because it really emphasizes the characteristics of a Loudred.
Because like Loudred is like the soundproof Pokemon who is basically like a big speaker who like uses their mouth and ears to project like sonic waves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So somehow, obviously, they get the Loudred to work out with their music system, and they use the Loudred as speakers, and the Loudred is just sort of jumping around everywhere.
Yeah.
And being a part of the whole show while these Pokemon battles are going on, and you see like a little battle scene between a Blastoise and a Gengar here. Gengar's as creepy as you'd expect.
They do a great job of Gengar. Like having him like turn to smog as he's moving and reappearing.
Yep, and then double team and everything working out. And Blastoise does some pretty cool moves using his cannon and a spinning shell with rapid spin sort of thing.
Like Pokemon battles are always something I really enjoy watching. Even in the anime, they do it really well.
Yeah. And even in CGI, this looked pretty damn good.
It looked great. Like I would love to see like another movie sort of have a bit more emphasis on Pokemon battling in the future.
Sure. Yeah,
because like after seeing this scene, I did want more action. Yep. Like there are a lot of points where it's like Pikachu and Tim having heart to heart moments. You know, there's funny stuff. There's a bit more sadder stuff, but like there's basically two bits in the movie, which is like this scene and the end where the action's a bit higher.
Yep.
I definitely would have loved to maybe. I don't know if it. Maybe I probably don't need to see it in this movie, but I definitely would like to see sort of another movie take this on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no. The round room was a really cool sort of illegal battle setting where the trainers could just sort of go all out with inside Ring City, and
it's kind of like pomp. It's kind of like punk pop or punk rock back in the day, like underground sort of. You go and play in there, and that's where you're doing like your head banging.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So obviously they're looking for clues in this place, and meanwhile there's a shady figure in the background, a shady woman texting on her phone. The kid's here with the Pikachu. Not going to get much context on that just yet.
Yeah, we know someone's looking for them.
Yep.
We don't know who it is.
Somebody wants them. They want them bad.
Yeah.
Bad enough to send a spy to follow them. Now they're looking for evidence as they're going around the ring room, and one of the DJs stops them and says,
"What's up?"
What's up is one word for it. He sort of goes, "Hey, that Pikachu really stuffed up my Charizard." And this Charizard's looking menacingly at this at Detective Pikachu. And when Tim asks him what he's doing, he's saying, "Staring contest, first one to back down loses." So he's having a staring contest with this Charizard in the background while they're talking. And Tim sort of said, "Well, look, I'm not this Pikachu's trainer. We're here looking for information on his previous trainer who's gone missing." Or partner, I should say. And the DJ is like, "Well, I'm not giving you information unless I get my rematch."
So he gets the rematch.
In
exchange for information if he loses. And this sets up the scene where it's Pikachu versus Charizard. And Pikachu goes in. He's doing. I love this bit. He's just like doing his arm stretches. He's getting ready. He's like, "I'm going to kick your ass." And Tim's like, "You've done it before. You can do it again." And they're all confident until the DJ gets out the vial of
a vial of R after revealing a giant coat full of it.
Yeah, so he's got plenty of it, and he gives it to his Charizard. He sniffs it up, and he just becomes savage.
Raging machine.
Yeah, gets that look in his eye, and Pikachu's. Suddenly changes his thought pattern. He's like, starts shooting himself. It's like, "Get me out of here!" What we've seen in the trailer, and the battle is quite funny. How it's just like basically Pikachu running away from him and trying to just get out of there.
Yep.
Then Tim goes in there and just kicks Charizard's tail to sort of try and distract him, and then it's a little bit Tim and Pikachu versus this Charizard. And then the DJ goes in there as well.
Tries to stop him,
and he gets tipped over, and he crushes all the R in his jacket.
Yep.
And that exposes all the rest of the Pokemon in that ring to this virus or condition or whatever you want to call it.
The serum.
The serum.
Guess. Yeah.
The reaction to the chemical, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. And so all the Pokemon, turn savage and turn on all the humans and
go nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns into a big, massive brawl out while Loudred is running around trying to yell at people while also blasting dubstep music.
That was great too. Like, as soon as they inhale it, like the music just changes from party music to like rave, just like it's on music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Pikachu gets out a bit of a hustle, and Charizard gets himself stuck in sort of like one of the bearings in the roof. Sort of almost like chandelier, like wrapped around his neck. And Pikachu suggests they get out of there real quick for obvious reasons, because there's a Charizard ready to
Just rip their guts.
Burn them to a crisp.
Yeah.
And then a Magikarp flops out on the floor from the fish tank that was behind the DJ bar. And Pikachu goes, I already know. He's like, I know what I have to do. And Tim goes, what are you doing with that Magikarp? He goes, I've seen this before. They evolve when they're under stress. So he very lightly throws this Magikarp not very far.
So it's just as much as he can, because he's a little rat.
He's a little rat, and there's a very heavy Magikarp.
He looks like the Magikarp look heavy, like just this big,
they do, yeah.
slippery, disgusting looking carp.
Yeah.
Because you forget about that, like, Magikarp in the games, like, he's useless, but in real life, like, an actual carp is just like the most disgusting, useless fish. Like, you can't eat it, you can't do anything with it, like. Yeah.
But, obviously it doesn't work out for him. He says, that went a lot differently than I expected. And Charizard rears up and gets ready to burn into a crisp again until Magikarp ends up evolving into a Gyarados. And as that happens, the R dissipates and Charizard's eyes go back to normal. And all of a sudden he's scared for obvious reasons, because Charizard is actually very accurately sized.
Yeah.
He is very accurately sized.
Because Charizard's like the same size as, say, you.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah, he's the same size as like a full-grown adult. So
he's like 6 foot something, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. But Gyarados is a ginormous sort of water-spitting dragon. And he's much bigger than what Charizard is. And this is like where the scale of Pokemon really comes into it. They did pay some serious attention to detail on how big Pokemon are. Yeah,
because even the Pokemon anime doesn't pay that much attention to scale.
It absolutely does not.
No.
So, like, for them, they would have had to have gone back and read Pokedex entries and stuff like that just to get the heights.
Yeah. Which is, it was really important for this movie to pull that off too, because this is like trying to make Pokemon, bring it into the real world.
Yeah, make them realistic.
And obviously, if they want them to be realistic, the real sizes and scale needs to be there as well.
Yeah. It doesn't happen with all the Pokemon, mind you. There are some cases where, like, the Snorlax, for example, was not actually that big. And, I mean, you could sort of have a variable there that, like, obviously Pokemon can have a minimum size and a maximum size sort of thing.
They're very like actual animals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They vary quite differently. But for them to have, like, a very pretty accurate approximate size, which Charizard and Gyarados scene sort of sets up, is really good. It shows that a Charizard should be deathly scared of something that's like 5 times bigger than him with a type advantage.
Yeah, especially with that type advantage.
Yeah,
and that exposed flame.
And he just floods out the whole round room, taking the Charizard and Tim and Pikachu down a slide.
I love how Pikachu's like, oh, I can't swim. And
Tim and Pikachu are arrested by the police.
Just washes them straight up to the police, and you just see the scene of the police just like leaning over him saying,
"You're going to jail.
You're going to jail." And it just cuts to black, and it's on to the next scene.
So it just turns out that it didn't really matter anyway, because the first person to pull him out of jail was Lieutenant Yoshida. And at this point, he asked Tim, obviously, why the hell was it an illegal Pokemon battling ring?
Yeah, so I thought you went into Pokemon and all this type of thing.
Yeah, I thought you went into Pokemon. I thought you were just here to clean up your dad's business.
Yeah.
So, and he basically said, look, there's something going on. Dad's not dead. There's no way he's dead. I can feel it in my bones, which Pikachu then says doesn't sound quite right after saying jellies all the time. And basically says, oh yeah, and I can talk to this Pikachu, which is his partner Pokemon. They know it. They know that that's his Pikachu.
Yeah, and then it turns into the typical thing of like, you're stressed, you've got things on your plate, you're hallucinating, this isn't really what's going on. Yeah. Then he went on to showing footage of the car crash, what actually happened, explaining that no one could have lived an event like that.
Yeah, and the footage that they had was very similar to what we saw in the opening scene with the car crash.
Black and white security footage, basically, of like the car being just like flicked off of the road, off the bridge, onto its roof, Yep, and the police have said, look, he's dead. There's no way he's alive. And they've sort of come to accept that in the next scene, which is obviously immediately after they're sitting outside the police station. They're sort of coming to the acceptance of it, but Tim says, well, look, we're not giving up yet. We still need to find out what happened, in your own mind. Yeah.
Because as much as it's 95% possible he's dead now, there is also that 5% chance that if you get your memory back, he's probably not dead. And then they are invited by this mysterious lady that saw them at the round room to get in the car.
I love that bit. It's like, oh, this isn't a bad guy's car at all.
Yeah, this isn't a bad guy's car at all. It's like a big black Jeep.
Yeah, it's just like the stereotypical, like, oh, this is the bad guy rocking up in the movie, like, point of the timeline, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And they are invited to Howard Clifford, which I've already got his name wrong once in this entire podcast.
And sorry, that previous scene is really touching because, like, Pikachu's saying that, you know, if your father was here, he'll be so proud of you.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's one of the touching moments where...
yeah,
I think
I'm sure he'd give you a big old hug until your bones pop.
Yeah, and just the way he says it, like look on the way Pikachu's face is animated, and he says like "pop" with like a bit of a P.
Yeah.
At the end, like
he's very sympathetic.
Yeah, it's really well done. Like Ryan Reynolds does a great job at the voice acting in this. Like,
yeah, it's one of those moments as well where it just really sets them up as partners for the rest of the movie. Because before, Tim was very hesitant to even think about it. Even think about the possibility that his father's alive. He just wants to grieve and get over it.
Yeah, and his heart was not open to Pokemon at all. He shut it off since the events, what happened back when he was a child and everything. And being with this Pikachu has sort of opened him up to being more open to Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they are invited to Howard Clifford's office, which I called him Goodman earlier. It's Clifford. Sorry, I stuffed that up.
That's all right, mate.
They're invited to Howard Clifford's office, where Howard Clifford explains to them that my son is going against everything I worked for, and he's causing trouble with the company, and that's what they assume is to do with the Mewtwo thing. And he shows them a hollow projection of the actual scene of what happened, and
at the car accident.
At the car accident, and it turns out that Pikachu's memory was erased by Mewtwo. And Tim's dad was taken. They don't have any more footage past that. And Tim wants to know what happened. And all Howard Clifford could say, was, you need to find Mewtwo if you want to find your dad.
Yeah.
So they go on a bit of an exploration after employing the help of Lucy Stevens again. To go and find Mewtwo at the research laboratory, which they now have the location of thanks to Howard Clifford. They have a bit of a car ride. Yeah. Pikachu is hesitant to give Psyduck a foot massage, but Psyduck coaxes him into it to keep his stress level down so he doesn't explode.
I love how like this is an obvious nod to the anime, whereas Misty Psyduck, you know, to strengthen its psychic powers, it needs to get a headache.
Yeah,
and I just love how it's like he got that soothing music playing in the car.
Yeah, Pikachu, it's like spa music.
Pikachu's just like, so we need to play this relaxing music so your head doesn't explode and we don't die.
Yeah,
or something along the lines of that. Yeah, no, it was a great scene, and like Psyduck just like sort of like twitching its big disgusting duck foot, just like
demanding a foot massage.
And like Psyduck in this movie, like it's another Pokemon that's just realised really well.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
It is just like a big, weird looking duck. Like
it really is. Yeah,
like it's just like huge eyes, and it's just like a real vacant look.
And you can tell when it's like whether it's just vacant or stressing, or like it's got super expressive eyes. It really tells you what's going on in its head. They make their way to the laboratory and they break in, obviously, but they're caught by security cameras. Nobody's at the laboratory because ever since Mewtwo had busted out of the place, they evacuated it and haven't come back. So breaking into the laboratory, they find some really shady shit going on pretty much immediately. There's Greninjas locked up in cages or tubes of some kind, and there's a Torterra garden where there's a couple of Torterra staying.
Yeah, I'm happy to see those Pokemon too, because they're like obviously late gens starter Pokemon. I thought it was really cool to see them there.
That's what I mean, is like the diversity of the Pokemon cast. Obviously there's like a lot of very obviously picked Pokemon that are just like, oh look, there's this Jigglypuff and there's this Pikachu and then there's this...
Because it would have been easy to be like, oh, we've got Sandslash and, you know, Staryu in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Like all these Pokemon.
They could have said, "Oh yeah, Starmie can use Swift on the protagonist, and Sandshrews are a ground Pokemon that can make that earthquake scene."
Yeah,
stuff like that. But they really went for the diverse range of Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do like it how like stuff like this breaks down, I guess, the barriers between generations.
Yeah,
because like as humans, we like to put everything in categories, and we're no different. Yeah, we think of each generation, so we can sort of put it in our heads what each one is. But I do like it in this house, just like it's a Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an animal that exists in this world. Doesn't matter if it's from Kanto, Johto, Holman, Sinnoh, Kalos, whatever it is. It's all here because this is a city essentially made for bringing Pokemon together and
absolutely.
Humans.
Yeah. And in the meantime, Lucy's picking at some information, and Tim and Pikachu move on to the room where Mewtwo had broken out of.
Yeah.
And Tim's inspecting the computer to find out whether anything could be of information to them about Mewtwo. They open a data log file where it brings up holograms similar to what was at Howard Clifford's office. And just for context, these holograms are like full 360 room holograms. And they really show off like proper like almost as if they were memories being projected out of the mind.
Yeah, you can like freely move around them and inspect them. Yeah, exactly.
And it really important to point out at this point, because they didn't really show it in the opening scene, is that the scientist that is working on Mewtwo is actually played by Rita Ora, who also does the main theme for this movie as well.
Oh yeah, yep.
So she's in there working on Mewtwo, and they're finding out the secret of how Ara's created. So they have Mewtwo caged up, and they make note, and this is something that's really great for continuity, that Mewtwo was created in Kanto somewhat odd 20 years ago.
Yeah. So, like, we talked about this before, how that's great for not having to reshift the story and fit into the story.
Yes, exactly.
It sort of looked like it from like the start of the movie till now that
Mewtwo was created there.
Mewtwo was created on like in this island, like in that laboratory, whereas the reality is that he was captured and brought back there to be experimented on and used for what they're planning.
And it fits any continuity as well, because it can either fit the anime continuity or the video game continuity.
Yeah.
It can fit either one perfectly fine, just by the way they've explained it. They basically just said in Kanto 20 years ago, Mewtwo was created. So if you know how Mewtwo was created, they were created by Team Rocket using Mew's genetic cells in the anime. And in the game, they were created at Cinnabar Mansion. He was created at Cinnabar Mansion by trying to replicate Mew, which also created Dittos.
Yeah.
So there is some really good continuity there that really tries to drive it into the series, and I think that's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Because if there's anything that pisses anybody off more than anything, it's when they try to divert something like what happened with the Mario Brothers movie, where they're like, "Oh, we're plumbers from Brooklyn."
So no, you're not.
No, you're not. You're not. The Mario Brothers are not plumbers from Brooklyn. That makes no sense. Like,
and Bowser isn't a human from Brooklyn either.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, they really try to fit the continuity of this movie into the actual franchise, and that's brilliant. I like how they cleared it up and made it so it's not like we have to be unique, and it's like a reboot, guys. Yeah. Because if anything, that pisses people off. Look at what the Sonic movie has turned out to so far.
Yeah, well,
they're trying to change things that really shouldn't be changed for the sake of the people that are actually going to watch the movie are most likely fans that already have that canon imprinted in their head.
Yeah, especially for Pokemon, since it's had lore built up through the video games and anime it's been built up for 20 years at this point.
It's always been shaky between the video games and the and the media. But when you put it in this context, it doesn't matter if you're an anime fan or a game fan. It fits the context of either continuity, which is fantastic.
Especially since, like, probably the origin of Mewtwo is one of the biggest stories in the series.
Yes.
Especially one of the more well-known ones. Obviously, the first movie really dives into that. And that's actually coming out this year too. So
yes, it is.
It doesn't ruin, I guess, the story for that next movie coming out.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
So yeah, I really like that.
Yeah. So they fit that in there, and they say, well, they're experimenting with Mewtwo's DNA, and this is how they've created R. What they've discovered with R is that transmuting some of Mewtwo's DNA into a chemical will actually cause Pokemon that can't handle the genes of Mewtwo, it will send them rabid and rampant.
Yeah. And
so they've used this DNA, made this serum, put it into vials, and they've been testing it at the round ring. And that's how this R serum has gone into circulation. So at this point, Mewtwo is set up to be the Pokemon who killed Tim's father. The Pokemon that is pretty much responsible for being the source of the serum. And the overall utter importance of several people. Like, Tim needs Mewtwo. God, I've done it again. Clifford.
Okay,
Clifford needs Mewtwo. Both.
Let's call him Cliffy. You might remember him.
Both the dad Clifford and the son Clifford. They both need Mewtwo. Their whole project needs Mewtwo. Mewtwo's very important, but Mewtwo is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So after that, we're cut to a short scene where Clifford's son is headed towards the laboratory.
And he's going to get him. He knows they're there through the security cameras. And he's driving there. We know these guys are going to be in trouble sooner or later. And after that, Tim and Pikachu walk out looking for Lucy. And they're sort of looking around. They can see that the cages have been opened. They know something's up.
The cages were opened by Clifford's son.
Yeah.
Remotely, by the way.
Yeah. And they're looking around. You notice some drool. And Pikachu noticed that wasn't there before. He looks up.
Gets some on his hat.
Yeah, not his hat. Looks up, and there she is, wrapped up in Greninja's tongue, and they're all just like on the roof, and they all jump down. And what did Pikachu do to Greninja again? I forgot now.
Okay, so they're all sitting on the roof. A Greninja with his tongue free obviously tries to snatch one of them, and Pikachu yells the fire alarm.
Oh, that's right. That's the fire alarm, yeah.
Tim pulls the fire alarm, and it spooks the rest of them out. They drop Lucy, and they make a getaway through the Torterra garden.
Yeah, and this is funny too, because they mentioned like, oh, those Torterra aren't that big. Because like the two of them in the like tent, the captivity there, they're just normal sized Torterra.
Yeah,
and
this sets up like one of the biggest like magical CGI moments of the entire movie.
Yeah, and like I remembered like the earthquake scene from the trailers, and as they're running through there, I'm like, oh my god, this is where the big Torterra are, and lo and behold, it is. Yeah, and like after a bit of sort of back and forth
running,
yeah,
and Psyduck manages to keep them off them with his splitting headache, which causes a massive psychic shockwave, which wakes up the Torterra.
Yeah. And then they go through the section where they're trying to survive the big earthquake, pretty much, of the Torterra standing up. And it gets to the point where
they get a camera view of them.
Yeah, and you can see the head.
Yeah.
And like Torterra has always been one of my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
And seeing it, like, it's probably one of the most perfect Pokemon for this type of movie.
Yeah.
Where you can see like their back is like real terrain.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool how they did it with like. I thought it was going to be like one Torterra getting up, which is a mountain, but they had like 6 of them all like together, and they all get up and they're all like separate.
Yeah, and they're huge. They're the size of islands. Yeah. Like they're massive. They're like 3 or 4 Torterra covers an entire mountain range. They're massive. One thing to point out is that I did miss is that the Greninja and the Torterra were being worked on genetically.
Yeah,
which is why the Torterra are this massive. Because they wanted to find a way to increase the size of the Torterra. Probably, it doesn't really explain why, but presumably because they want a portable land continent where they can put a laboratory on and sort of move it.
Yeah, sort of make it like a Xenoblade.
Yeah, it's like
Chronicles.
sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why the Greninja are after him as well, because they're sort of,
It would have been really weird having like a huge Turtwig to start off with.
Yeah.
Just a huge Turtwig. It's just like this big dopey looking sort of dinosaurs. Like, right. How do you train it to make a It's like, you're there trying to train this little Turtwig to get to level 36. You're looking up, you're like, all right, where do I start? Let's get them to battle each other or something.
But obviously the Torterra aren't out to hurt anyone, but they just need to shift around and like get over what just happened.
Well, you have a big sonic boom on your back. Oh shit, what's that? And you get up
exactly.
And
What's that fly?
You sort of stretch. Oh, it's nothing. Then you sit down again.
Yeah, and
that's pretty much what one of the biggest action scenes of the movie was. Just
just a Torterra standing up and down. Yeah. But like it was really nuts. Like how much happened in that scene, just them trying to stop from falling off these Torterra or being separated and stuff like that, because they were all huge masses of land.
This is one of the sections where my disbelief was stretched. Just like how many rocks and huge boulders were just going everywhere, and not one of them like got like
smacked off. Yeah,
just like absolutely killed. Like Pikachu. Like, this is the scene where Pikachu gets hurt real bad. And he gets hit in the head by, like, just a rock, which would, if this was real life, it would kill you.
Yeah.
And he gets hit in the head, and, he's like, oh, I don't feel so good, and whatever. But when they're falling in the water, and, like, there's, like, huge boulders, probably 10 times the size of them, falling beside them, they didn't get hit by one little pebble or anything.
No.
No, apparently not. Not a scratch. They just got wet. That's all they got when they fell in the river.
Yep.
But Pikachu just, like, he just hit... There's like a big landslide, and there's Pikachu's go, oh, and that's him gone. That's
yeah,
just this one rock.
Yeah, he gets smacked, and he doesn't know if he's going to make it. And Tim's getting real upset, and a Bulbasaur approaches them, and the Bulbasaur sort of just goes, and he's just like, I need help, please. I need to heal a Pokemon, sort of thing. And she's like, well, he can't understand you. He's like, but he knows how I feel. And so, obviously, Bulbasaur trots back.
This did throw back to an earlier section where Pikachu was explaining to Tim that you don't actually have to be able to talk and understand.
Yeah.
You can, like...
just purvey emotion.
You purvey emotion through your actions.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is what happened here with, obviously, of how upset he was that his Pikachu was flung by a rock.
Yeah. So Bulbasaur walks off and comes back with a whole herd of Bulbasaur. And it's very, very, very cute.
Yeah, I like how the Bulbasaur as well. They're not like Bulbasaur.
No,
it's just they're just like making little like noises, like a bunch of little bulb animals would in the wild.
Yeah, it's important to note that some Pokemon say their names in this movie, but a lot of them do not, which is good because that's an anime trope that really, really does drone on.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, obviously, like Pikachu has the same voice he does from the anime.
Yeah.
I think for some Pokemon, it suits in their natural habitat to be like just like making noises. Like if you went to a jungle, you just hear like and birds and that.
Yeah.
It is a similar situation to that where you're just hearing like the Bulbasaur make sounds or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're in the city and you're having like a Pokemon battle and like in Gengar's there, you don't expect like a from a Gengar.
Yeah.
You expect like Gengar, like the actual sound he makes.
Yeah, exactly.
So I thought it was quite well done for that too.
Yeah. So Lucy suggests that she goes to the car while Tim goes with the Bulbasaur. They go for a walk and they follow the Bulbasaur, where you get like a very pretty scene where a lot of Morolol, which if you've never caught up with the Pokemon series and its evolutions, Morolol is like a tiny little mushroom Pokemon that can float.
Yeah, they're cool.
And they're very proficient when it comes to sleep-inducing and nightmares based around that. That's what they do. They're sort of like a psychedelic drug, a Pokemon that you don't have to eat. They literally just do it because that's part of what they do. So they're following the Bulbasaur and the Morolol up to a podium where Tim rests Pikachu down, and the Morolol and the Bulbasaur go away. And he's like, wait, you told me to sit him here. Why aren't you healing my Pikachu? Sort of thing. And it turns out that this is where Mewtwo is hiding.
Yeah. And this is a scene as well, like if you're a fan of the anime back in the first season, you think back to the episode of the Bulbasaur forest where it's basically like a big forest where Bulbasaur go to evolve.
Yeah. And
they basically got like the king of Venusaur there, sort of like as their king, and they're evolving into Ivysaur and Venusaur. And I expected there to be like a big Venusaur when they got there, and then that's where Mewtwo appears, and you see them heal them, and he comes across as the bad guy from what he's saying.
Yeah, he says something along the lines of, "You did what I asked you, bring the boy."
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, is Pikachu like?
Is he
like,
a bad guy?
Is he the bad guy? Is he like the minion of Mewtwo before he like lost his memory?
Yeah, because Mewtwo tries to transpire his memory upon Tim, and it sort of suggests with what he can get out that Mewtwo thinks humans are evil. And he doesn't get to finish before he's interrupted by young Clifford. I'm just gonna, I can't refer to him by first name because it's just too hard to remember which one is which. So I'm just going to say young or old.
Yeah, that's probably easy. Yeah.
Young Clifford interrupts Mewtwo and captures him with a device that he's made specifically to capture Mewtwo and transport him back into a van. So at this point, Pikachu is questioning his morality on this side of thing, whether he actually did betray Tim's dad, or whether
he'll do it again to Tim.
Yeah. And Tim says, "You're not. That's obviously not who you are. You're a different person than that, if that is the truth.
You're a different rat.
You're a different kind of rat now.
You're a fully grown rat. You're not Rat in the Hat. You're the one from Ninja Turtles. The wise one. That's what you are.
The rat in a robe on Splinter.
No, not Splinter. That's the bad guy.
No, it's not. That's...
Oh, I'm thinking of Shredder. Yeah.
Splinter's the good guy.
Yeah. You're right. Sorry.
It's a big rat.
Yeah, no, it's a big rat.
So Pikachu leaves, and because he's questioning his morality's sake, and he doesn't want to hurt Tim. And Tim and Lucy meets back up with them after all the muffin, and says, "Is he okay?" He's like, "He's fine, but we need to go and see Clifford." So old Clifford. So they go back and see old Clifford, and Pikachu's doing his thing.
Yeah, he's got his moment where he self-discovers himself. He finds out what the true him is, what really happened. Before
that, he does sing a very sad rendition of the original anime theme.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be the very best, like no one was.
Yeah, he's just like walking along a path and singing this song. But what he realizes mid chorus is that he's actually on the bridge where the accident happened. So it wasn't far away from the research facility, as we found out at the start of the movie. Anyway, he must have been walking back to the city on his own.
Pretty good pace, though. Pretty good pace on that Pikachu.
Yeah, pretty good pace.
Because it's a fair walk. Because you know how he was saying earlier, every step's like 1,000 steps for him. Not literally, of course, but be a lot of steps for Pikachu with his
tiny legs.
His non-existent legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Just his feet and his bum, pretty much. It's like having like shoes attached to your bum and you're trying to walk on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to walk with your cheeks.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So he then he has a bit of a existential thought. And he can see what happened in his head. What exactly happened in his head just by visiting the scene. And he sees that it wasn't actually Mewtwo that blew the car off the bridge.
It was Greninja. It was the herd of Greninja, or one of them. Or...
Yeah, no, it was the herd of them chasing after him. But Mewtwo tried to stop the Greninja before they could blow up the car. Because... something has sort of happened here that gets explained later on, but it turns out that it wasn't Mewtwo, it was actually the Greninja, and that he was actually stopped by the younger Clifford. Well, yeah.
Young Cliffy.
The young Cliffy.
Lil Cliff.
So, Detective Pikachu, in his righteous glory, is like, I have to find Tim. Cuts back to Tim, and he's back at old Clifford's office.
Yeah, and this is like quite the plot twist as well, because it sets it up as in like, oh, you know, these guys are probably going to be bad, and it's like, oh, this guy's probably going to be bad, and you think like the old guy's going to be obviously the good one, and the young one.
I didn't 100% believe that he was going to be the good one the whole time, but I didn't think he was going to be
the bad one by himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It turns out, ladies and gentlemen, that he is the bad guy. right?
Cliffy, old Cliffy,
old Cliffy, who's been confined to a wheelchair this entire time, and he's always talking about this message about between peaceful Pokemon, peace between human and Pokemon and stuff like that. But it turns out that it was actually him running the research facility. He was blaming it all on his son, and that his actual mission was to find a way to take control of Mewtwo and basically force himself inside him.
Which is...
in a very non-disgusting sexual way. No, he wanted to control Mewtwo's body so that he could exact a plan.
Yeah. He wanted access to those greasy fingers.
Yes, exactly.
Those fucking little nubby fingers.
So, after arriving at the office, Tim's like, what are you doing? Because he's got this big chamber with Mewtwo ready to go. And he exacts his plan. He doses Mewtwo with the R, and then uses a mechanism that is attached to his head while he's in a wild state, both to him and Mewtwo's head, so that he can take control of Mewtwo and send his mind into Mewtwo so that he can use Mewtwo as
it's just like
basically a body.
Yeah. At this point, it's just like, fair enough.
Yep.
And it is interesting as well seeing the humans sort of like that evolution, like light that comes from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Sort of seeing them like morph into the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty cool, and I guess the concept of it is a bit fucked up, but like just like the personality and the all that of the Pokemon just disappears.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're just the host. Yeah.
Just a second.
The cat just come in.
Actually,
what's wrong?
Just pertaining back to a previous episode, I actually think you do have a ghost dog here somewhere.
Really?
I felt a tail hit me. Like I thought it was Nala.
It is. Well, Nala's here. I'm feeling something here.
Oh, there she is.
She's there.
Oh, that's all right.
What do you want about the ghost dog?
No, remember you told me there was like a ghost dog.
Oh, well, Chantel thought there was a ghost dog in here.
Well, I don't know. I didn't realise Nala was still in here. I thought she went out to Chantel.
Yeah, because I felt it. It was Nala, not the ghost dog.
Okay, that's all right then. It's not a ghost dog.
Okay, no ghost dog.
No ghost dog. So, basically, at this moment in time, he explains to Tim that he's found a way to unite the soul of a human into a Pokemon body to create a literal
fusion.
Yeah, well, a literal united Pokemon society. So obviously, a Pokemon with a far more intelligent, but like an intelligent working Pokemon society that obviously has the brain of a human, but the abilities of a Pokemon.
Yeah.
So
it seems a bit rough that he gets Mewtwo and other people get like
Psyduck.
Yeah, it's a bit rough.
So during this time, they were setting up a giant parade, which was meant to be like their Pokemon Unity parade with humans, and they were setting up all these floats and stuff like that. Turns out these floats are filled with R, the gas that sends Pokemon in a frenzy.
Oh no!
Now what old Clifford has learned through the research experiments that happened at the PCL, I believe it was called, which was the laboratory. Mm-hmm. He had found out that displacing the soul of a Pokemon could make it possible to have a human soul take its place. So basically, imagine if the soul was there in the center of your body, if you send it up to the like left arm, then you could just put a human soul in the center of the body instead.
Yeah. Which is weird.
Which is a bit weird, yes.
Yeah.
But he found out that Mewtwo was capable of this power, but he couldn't do it unwillingly. Like the Pokemon willing has to be willing to do it. And it turns out that, well, guess what? He's going to do it to the entire city. So he needs the floats filled with R so that he can gas the entire city's Pokemon, and then rampage the city using Mewtwo's psychic powers to do that exact plan. Turn everybody into Pokemon. So, it turns out that he was the main bad guy all along.
Dun dun dun!
Dun dun dun. So, they'd been chasing the wrong Cliffy all along.
This was a great scene was it a bit later, or was this this is the scene in the office with the bit of the Scrabble that goes on? Yes,
after Pikachu arrives.
Yeah, that's right.
So Detective Pikachu arrives back in the city and he's seeing all these people being turned into Pokemon. Essentially, it's like it was basically the essentiality of a human going into a Pokeball, except it was a human going into a Pokemon. They turn into a ray of light and go
just
into their partner Pokemon.
Yeah, and this was the point too when Pikachu rocked up and like he wasn't being affected by it. That's when it clicked for me. What was
you're like, oh shit,
going on for the end there? Because I wasn't thinking about it. I was in for the ride, but just when I was thinking about that, like, was anything going to go into Pikachu? So, wait, something's already in there.
Something's already there, and that's why I can talk.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
yeah.
Sort of thing. But yeah, they had a bit of a scrabble in the office while Mewtwo was out transforming people. Tim had heard a knock on the door, and it turns out that old Cliffy had locked young Cliffy in the closet, all tied up and bound, so that he could send something that appeared very slightly near the beginning of the movie that was not really noticeable. They I wouldn't say they hid it very well, but they made it very much a non-important plot point in that there was Ditto. And this Ditto was transforming into people and guising as them. So it turns out that young Cliffy that recaptured Mewtwo was actually not young Cliffy, it was
Ditto.
Old Cliffy's Ditto.
Yeah. And the Ditto was so well done.
Yeah.
For anyone that knows like the Ditto episode from season 1 of the Pokemon anime, how
it has the dopey eyes at all times.
This particular Ditto, who was owned by a girl in this episode, he could do the transformation, but it couldn't figure out the eyes. The eyes were always just the two black pupils.
Yes.
And that was basically the Easter egg for this Ditto. How she took basically the girl who took off the glasses. She had just had like the black pupils and nothing else.
Yep.
And it just looked so weird.
So it turned out that pretty much every single person on camera that had sunglasses on during the movie is probably that Ditto, because obviously it was trying to hide its face.
Yeah,
it knew to hide its face because that's what gave it away.
Even back at that scene when they were like they're recording that episode on the video camera, how like the Ditto just transforms into one of the assistants on set and just like wheels it off. That was the first section where we see Ditto. Yeah, it was really really funny. Just like what?
Yeah,
one of those moments.
Yes, it was literally a 2-second moment. You didn't think much of it.
No, yeah.
You didn't think much of it, and then it turns around and it turns out that Ditto was actually really important to the rest of the context of the movie.
Huge plot point because it represented like 3 characters.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like a big twist turnaround. It was probably the biggest twist turnaround in the movie. Old Cliffy being a bad guy, like it didn't feel like he was the bad guy, but it was certainly on the cards. But that Ditto didn't really seem that important. And then it just was. It was important immediately. And it turns out that it was the Ditto was also the person acting in as the spy that was following them around all the time.
Yeah.
The one that took them in the car to Cliffy's office, turns out it was a Ditto.
Driving a car.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Yes, a Ditto driving a car. The whole time it was a Ditto. And they have a bit of a dual fight scene going on here. They've got Pikachu versus Cliff 2.
Old Cliffy Mewtwo.
Old Cliffy Mewtwo. We'll call him Cliff 2.
Cliff 2. Old Cliffy 2.
Who's running around, turning people into Pokemon, and Pikachu's trying to stop him, obviously. And then you have Tim versus the Ditto, and the Ditto's transforming into all these different people, and all these different Pokemon that he's experienced during his adventure. So obviously there's something special about this Ditto. Who was it? Young Cliffy breaks free, and he's trying to help Tim fight this Ditto at the same time. And obviously, there's a bit of a scuffle going on in these two separate fight scenes.
Yeah.
Pikachu's making his way on the poker floats. Haha.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Reference right there.
Maybe.
Yeah. He's having a tussle with the poker float on the poker floats, and he's fighting Mewtwo like very gingerly. Then because he's still not really in tune with his powers yet.
I do like how this is where we start to get to see his powers a bit more, and he's sort of
and Pikachu's doing more of a Pokemon presence.
Yeah. Where he's actually like, all right, this is battling now.
Yep.
it's really cool, like seeing him use his especially a bit later, obviously in the scene where he uses his Volt Tackle and that.
Yeah,
that was really cool to see.
Yep. And because earlier at the round room, he was read out. He was basically read out his attacks by Tim, because Tim knows a lot about Pokemon.
Yeah,
but he obviously
hides it.
Yeah. So he knows what's going. He knows what moves he has available to him. He's never really used any at this point. Telling
him Volt Tackle's your best option.
Yeah,
even though you'll get recoil damage.
Yeah. Exactly. yeah, exactly. But he's never really been able to bring him out at this point, and that was a big plot point in the trailer as well. Back when he was versing Charizard, it was in the trailer as well that he couldn't use his powers. We all know this. Pikachu. Yeah, it's been readily available information known since the trailers. So
yeah, I
didn't talk about it, but there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, you know that he can't use Pikachu's electric moves, but he can at this point. So,
I dare say that's because he's remembered things, and because of that, he just remembered how to use his attacks as well.
Yeah,
I guess that's the basic premise of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just So you should have. It would have been cool if he gave the Charizard a shock earlier. Come on, Pikachu. Should have got your stuff together earlier.
God damn it, Pikachu.
It's really cool too, like the section where he jumps on the back of Pidgeot and he's flying through the skies and that, avoiding the attacks, and he's saying
don't breathe in the gas.
Yeah. Well, even before that, where he's left flank, and he's telling the Pidgeot where to move to avoid Mewtwo's Shadow Balls and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, and as you said, don't breathe in the gas. And it's like, you breathed in the gas, didn't you? And it just starts going berserk and smashing against the building, trying to get him off, and throws him onto the satellite dishes. And
yeah. And then Pikachu lands safely on a building. And while he's landing safely on that building, Tim and young Cliffy are still having this tussle with the Ditto, who's transforming into all sorts of range of crazy Pokemon. So from Lickitung to Cubone to Buffalint to, whatever else you can think of. And Machamp. And they've all got beady eyes.
All terrifying. He transformed into Lucy at one point.
Yep.
He's just like, oh, that's cheating. Don't turn into a girl I'm semi-attracted to.
Yeah, don't turn that I'm semi-attracted to. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I do like they're fighting. Machamp gives him a big punch in the guts. It sort of pushes him out the window. He's holding on for dear life. And then the Ditto transforms into a Cubone.
Yeah.
I love how it goes back to the start where it's just it's basically him just giving little tiny taps on the knuckles with his bone, trying to make him let go and all that. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it just seems like this Ditto is transforming into anything that Tim has seen before, which is probably what is special about this Ditto. Because at this point, young Cliffy mentions that this Ditto was an experiment that his father was working on, and that it was special in some way. So obviously it can manipulate itself to look like something that Tim has seen before.
Yeah.
Which is why it's morphing into humans as well, and all the Pokemon that he's seen up until this point. Yeah.
It can drive cars.
Very special Ditto. Very genetically modified to drive cars.
You know what? I would have loved to see a transform into that Ludicolo.
Yeah, it would have been great.
So that Ludicolo just with dead eyes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So at this point, Pikachu realized what he has to do. He has to Volt Tackle this Mewtwo, so he can't get away with his little blasty boy attack. And he does, sends him flying into the building, a couple floors under where Tim and young Cliffy are having their bout with Ditto. Young Cliffy.
I love it, dude.
And I mean, this distracts the Ditto. I'm pretty sure that... Does Tim get pulled up by Cliff?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim gets pulled up by Cliff.
Because Cliffy smacks the Ditto off.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Smacks the Ditto off. After he gasses him with the R, actually. He gasses him with the R and he goes berserk.
Oh, that's right.
And then he kicks him out the window as a Cubone.
I love how he comes back too. Young Cliffy pulls Tim back up, and the Ditto comes flying in as a bravery, then quickly transforms into a Buffalo. No,
a Buffalint.
Buffalint.
Yeah.
And comes back in and just goes berserk that way. I love how he just comes back in as a different Pokemon and quickly transforms again. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously, if you're a Ditto, why not? You just obviously you're not going to just die as a cube by falling.
And then eventually, after being gassed by this this Ditto berserkingly transforms and can't stop, and eventually exhausts himself to the point where he can't transform anymore, and he just becomes a puddle on the floor.
Yeah.
He's exhausted himself out. He can't fight anymore.
Yeah. It's funny too, because like I always imagined Ditto as like chewing gum.
Yep.
But in this, he was just like disgusting, like clear.
He was, yeah.
Like a blob.
He was like putty, clear putty.
What was that? What's that movie? What was that? The Blob?
Flubber.
Flubber, yeah. Remind me of Flubber.
Yeah, it's pretty much Flubber. Flubber with eyes.
Yeah.
Pink Flubber with eyes.
Bit more texture too.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just green.
And at this point, Cliffy 2 is very pissed off with Pikachu for hurting his poor little nog by smacking him into a building. And Pikachu says, I wasn't trying to fight. He grabs Pikachu and says, you can't beat me. I'm the strongest Pokemon in existence. And Pikachu says, I wasn't trying to beat you. And Cliffy smacks off the helmet Tim smacks the helmet off of Cliffy.
Old Cliffy.
Yeah. And that's the end of it. He's no longer in control of Mewtwo anymore. So, why the frig Cliffy 2 left Tim to just be there while his lifeless body with the helmet on?
Yeah,
there.
well, he expected the Ditto to take care of it.
Yeah, but it didn't.
Yeah. And like this section where Pikachu's falling and like Mewtwo obviously regains consciousness and comes back and uses his psychic powers to slowly bring Pikachu down to the ground again. And, Pikachu doesn't die by falling to the ground, so...
Yeah. Exactly. So, I guess that's where Cliffy gets defeated. And, young Cliffy's all happy that he's finally ended his father's stupid reign of terror. And Mewtwo, Pikachu, and Tim meet up, and Mewtwo says, I'll fix this first. And he basically just undoes everything that Cliffy did in pretty much one consecutive blast, which is something that Cliffy just couldn't do when he was acting in as Mewtwo. He couldn't just do the whole city at once, but Mewtwo did. He undid them all. Which sort of pervades that, like, even if you are controlling a Pokemon, doesn't mean you sort of can't inherit their abilities.
You don't have access to their power because you don't have the knowledge of how to use it.
Exactly, yeah. And that was ultimately his downfall, is that he couldn't utilize Mewtwo to its capabilities, and that it wasn't strong. He wasn't strong enough to,
control it
fully.
Yeah,
and then we get a little bit of a scene where Pikachu.
Well, we get the scene where all the humans are coming out of.
That's right too.
Out of the Pokemon. We're seeing it all happen, and the whole time we're sort of like, oh yeah, this is happening. We're seeing Lucy come out of Psyduck again, and the characters return to normal.
Yep.
And the city sort of return to peace. Like you're seeing all the fog just instantly like fade away, and the balloons pop and everything, as Mewtwo's doing his magic.
Yep.
And we're sort of like this. The camera goes back to Pikachu, and we're like, all right. No, we know where this is going now. But it hasn't happened yet. We're like, all right, we're waiting. Yeah. And Mewtwo comes back and says, there's one more I need to...
I need to take care of.
We're like, oh yeah, who's that? I wonder.
And this is where Mewtwo sort of finishes off the vision he was trying to show to Tim earlier. And that is that Mewtwo had not just said humans are evil. He had actually said humans are evil, but your compassion towards them shows me that there are good ones in this world. And then he said, I will save this human, because it turns out that Pikachu had actually, which we didn't really explain earlier, but Pikachu had released Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was under Tim's dad's orders, and he had said that his compassion has shown him that humans can be good. And then he saved Tim's dad's life by putting his soul into Pikachu. And this is why Pikachu talks to Tim.
But, like, Haka, I still don't know why, thinking about it more, I don't know why Tim can understand Pikachu, obviously because his dad's in there, but why can't anyone else understand him? What makes it special that Tim can hear his dad?
I think it has to do with the R.
It does, you reckon?
I think so. Yeah, Tim said it at the start of the movie, and I think that's kind of more or less the point of it, is that the R had an effect on him. And
sort of heighten his senses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, if that's what it does to a Pokemon, then it's probably what it does to him too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
He got a good old sniff of it, and he was able to hear Pikachu. So, you know what? That's probably what happened. And yeah, so it turns out that all along, it was Tim and his dad together on an adventure, trying to figure out where his dad went. Turns out he was there all along.
Yeah.
Like a perfect little children's story sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was quite sweet, really, how it came around in the end.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
like, he's like Tim the whole time has resented his dad for not being there.
Yeah,
and he went through this bonding session with this Pikachu, who did turn out in the end to be the man who he sort of desired to be with him the whole time.
Yeah. He never really had that much interaction with his dad because, like we said earlier on, he lived with his grandmother after his mother died. His dad got self-absorbed into his work, and he wanted his son to live with him, but he didn't want to. And he felt guilty about that.
Yeah, he regretted it.
And he regretted it. He regretted he never knew his father, sort of thing. And it's sort of come around that he learned a lot about his father just by, finding out what he enjoys doing in his work, and how much that sort of pervades onto him. And yeah, it turns out to be really sweet. And we cut to the next scene, which is the final scene of the movie.
This is
and
nice.
Tim's getting ready to go home. Camera turns to Tim, and Tim's getting ready to go home. He's about to get on the plane, and somebody says, "Hey kid," turns around. His dad is there with Pikachu, and the dad is Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, which is really awesome to see. Like, it's just like, oh, cool. So, because there was a bit there where, oh, surely they're going to use Ryan Reynolds, like, and not like a different actor or something. Just for the fact that the main protagonist is black, and also the mum is black as well. Yeah, like, are they going to try and fit that? Yeah, fit the same theme, or
it was just a mixed race family. Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, which was sort of like, you didn't think about it much at first, especially. I
was just thinking about it at that end scene, like just before you saw him, like, surely Ryan Reynolds is going to pop up in this. Yeah, being like, the main name for the movie. Well,
especially in and at the time, like when you haven't gotten to that point of the movie and find out that it was actually Tim's dad, you wouldn't have thought too much about Ryan Reynolds being his dad. So it sort of just turned up that was actually the fact, and yeah, he turns up.
This is the scene in the movie where I teared up a bit too at the end, like,
yeah,
because like you can see the emotion in like the dad's eyes that he really wants him to stay. He doesn't want him to go. Through everything that you've learnt about, the dad really does care about Tim.
Yeah, he does, absolutely.
And in the end, Tim really wants that love and compassion from his father, which he missed out on the last, 11 years of his life growing up.
Yep.
And we see, he's about to go, he's leaving, and he's, he turns around, says, "What, Dad?
Can I come live with you for a bit?"
Yeah. And, his dad just goes, yeah, I like that a lot. Like, you can see, like, sort of like his eyes going glassy, and you can see, like, it's a real nice moment after everything that's happened, on top of, like, the sort of adventure we've gone on. With this movie, you go through sort of
it's a bonding session.
Yeah, it's a bonding session between two people, as well as like a nostalgia trip for, Pokemon fans as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And the last line of the movie is, "Want to go get coffee?"
He's like, "Oh, yeah."
And he said, for some reason I really feel like coffee. Because Pikachu drank a lot of coffee.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I've got the shakes. What's this goddamn Pikachu done to me?"
Yeah.
He doesn't say that, but you can just imagine it. And when like he's walking off into the camera at the final bit of the movie, Tim's saying he would like to do some detective work, and the Pikachu's like, "Pika!" It's like, and the dad's like, yeah, he would like that a lot. And I thought that was really sweet how,
Yeah.
Because, like, I guess Tim and the Pikachu don't know each other.
No, not really. I mean, they probably do to some degree. I can't imagine Pikachu's soul was absent for the entire thing, but he probably saw the whole thing through his own eyes.
Yeah.
Just as much as Tim's dad did while he was inside Pikachu. And, overall, it ends very sweetly, and we get a very nice credit sequence that's got like a lot of the cast drawn in as like the game art style, which is awesome. You could use like a lot of them for
the credits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the music started up, like the more traditional Pokemon music, as well as like the animations you might see from like the older games, the manga, that type of thing.
Yeah.
You're seeing these characters drawn in that art style.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is awesome. And like that was one of like the biggest hype moments of the actual movie. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah. No, yeah. It looks wicked, sounds wicked. Everything about it is nostalgic, and you know, But I guess my final thoughts on the movie throughout the entire thing is that we didn't go into much attention to detail when it comes to obvious things that a lot of people would be asking, like a Pokemon done accurately and all that stuff. And I'd like to say that I don't think any of the Pokemon were done badly at all. I think they're all done very well. I think the story from start to end was a real touching bonding story. Even though if you didn't find out much of it till the end of it. And it maybe ended a little bit abruptly. I feel like there was still more that needed to be sort of, you know, alluded on, I guess. You know, Lucy got her big break, and we all know that, and stuff that happened at the end of the movie. Whoops. I think just overall, like, it was a very heartwarming sort of story, and I feel like it did pay a lot of tribute to the fans of Pokemon who really cared about the series in terms of how they portrayed things and made it into a real Pokemon-esque story.
Yeah, it was definitely a Pokemon-esque story, because Pokemon's all about, you know, teamwork, working together, helping one another, being there for each other, and that's what the themes of this movie heavily touches on.
Yeah, no matter how many little adult-based jokes they sprinkle through it, and you know. Yeah,
and like all good movies sort of have that sort of extra layering in there as well.
Yeah,
that like both people can enjoy it. I pretty much share the same opinion as you. Really loved it. Absolutely, really loved it. And walking away, I want to watch it again. And
so do I.
I really want like more movies like this in the Pokemon universe. I'd love to see just like sort of this universe, this side of things really fleshed out.
Yeah, for sure.
So you've got this section which is Rhyme City where this happened, but I'd love to see like the move into more traditional Pokemon stuff. Maybe do like, you know, go to Kanto, or probably not even Kanto. I would like to see like a maybe even more of a new region where they can sort of flesh out some newer Pokemon as well.
Yeah.
Like have more of this diversity in there, which we were talking about earlier.
I'm hoping this movie does set up a lot of precedent for future Nintendo projects. Because in my opinion, this movie was a really good start to... I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole Smash Brothers cinematic universe thing that was floating around Twitter or anything like that.
I was actually going to say that. Like, yeah, this type of thing makes me go, shit, that could probably work if the right directors and actors and everything
are put in place.
In place, like, you know, Nintendo's got such rich history and an IP that it'd be so cool to see, like, I don't know, but even just sticking to Pokemon, do the Pokemon cinematic universe, it could be so cool.
Well, I mean, with movies like Mario and all that sort of coming up by Mario by Illumination and all that, they're up and coming movies in the next couple years, and I'd love to see like a Zelda production of some kind. That would be really cool if they do it right, mind you. I don't really want them to tarnish what... Because the problem with the 90s and early 2000s is they really did that. They tarnished video game names in movies a lot.
Especially like with Detective Pikachu, it could have easily gone wrong.
It could have, yeah. Like, but I thought it was far from wrong.
Yeah. Like, if they didn't get Ryan Reynolds... I feel like having Ryan Reynolds really establish the fact, like, no, this isn't a cash grab. This isn't just a whatever movie. This is a big name actor behind it as, you know, the main character.
And he did a lot of promotion for it too.
And that
he must have loved doing the hell out of this movie.
And it legitimized the movie in a lot of people's eyes. Like, this isn't just like, you know, another Pokemon movie. This is something different.
Yeah. And I mean, you're wondering why they didn't cast Danny DeVito instead. Well, there's your answer. They really wanted to... They really wanted to make this movie a big production with a smiling face that everybody knows and who can play a cheeky character extremely well. Mm-hmm. And they did a really good job of picking that. Because
all you need to say really is, there's this Detective Pikachu movie coming out, and people go, okay, Detective Pikachu, But if you say, Pikachu is, voiced and acted by Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
It just speaks for itself.
Well, yeah.
Essentially. It's like, is he going to be saying fuck a lot in this from his last movie, Deadpool? It's like, no, not so much. Not so much.
And I mean, I mentioned this to you when we come out the movies, but could you imagine if they actually did cast Danny DeVito and then at the end of the movie, they had Justice Smith standing there getting ready to go on the train, and then you hear, "Hey kid," and you turn around and it's Danny DeVito, and Danny DeVito is his father.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of weird.
It's like, what was his mum thinking?
Yeah. No disrespect, Danny DeVito. I think you're great, but like,
yeah,
it's just like, I think for the context of the movie, Ryan Reynolds was just a much better pick in the end. Like, I can understand people's wants for Danny DeVito, Detective Pikachu. Defective Pikachu. I guess that's what we'll call it. Detective Pikachu. Because, I mean, that's kind of akin to what he sounds like in the games. I guess it's like a Danny DeVito type of gruff.
He's more of a gruff detective type.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but in the context of this movie, he was not a gruff detective type. He was a he was a thorough investigator that had a light heart and liked to crack a joke. And I think that was good for the tone of the movie. Yeah. Because it needed that sometimes. Sometimes it was like all people getting angry and noir vibes and stuff like that. Like, it was like very...
Yeah, like for this type of setting, having a Pokemon movie which is just like serious about detective work, it wouldn't be all that entertaining.
No, I don't think so.
It's like, it'd be like because even like, stuff like James Bond and that has like a bit of a cheeky tone like in certain scenes. So obviously, yeah, you need it in this. But you still could have had that with like a more Danny DeVito type character. But yeah, I absolutely loved Ryan Reynolds' performance, and even like all the characters too. Like Justice Smith, he did a great job as sort of the kid. How you saw him evolve.
Yeah, as a character. Yeah,
as a character. I didn't mean the pun there, but hey, you see him like he's unhappy in his life where he is. He's had bad events happen in his life, which made him not like Pokemon, and sort of coming through that and coming through the other side. And yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it.
Absolutely fantastic. And I can only hope that going forward with future things, like obviously the Mario movie and all that stuff, that it really sort of encapsulates something similar to this. I want to see really great quality out of it and stuff like that, and it has to be right. It's obviously a big ongoing problem with the Sonic movie at the moment. People have a real issue with it not standing up to the quality that it probably should be out of respect for the fans, if anything. And I think like that was a worry about Detective Pikachu. Pikachu. Sorry, it's like an hour and 40 minutes into this and I'm still sort of... I think that was a real major problem with the initial look at Detective Pikachu and the announcement, and people going, oh my god, it's another IRL movie.
Yeah.
It's going to ruin it. It's going to suck. But I honestly don't think it did suck, and I honestly don't think it's ruined. I think it's actually the complete opposite, and it was a real good step past the stigma that we've had with video game movies for the last nearly 2 decades. Maybe more. Ever since the Mario Brothers movie probably is the first one that really
stunk
nuts. Yeah.
Stunk nuts. Especially with the Pokemon IP, like it's one of the biggest video games out there, and it's a great example to have like showcase. Video games can be like, they can make good motion pictures.
Yeah.
And like obviously the animated movies in the past have been, good kids movies.
Yeah.
But this is one that might stand out a bit more just for, its real life presence.
I'm hoping so. Like I said, I hope this grosses well in the box office and all that, because I would love to see Nintendo IPs done correctly on a big screen. Mm-hmm. And obviously with the travesty that was the Mario Bros movie all the way back when, there's a lot of cynicism that'll probably go around happening with a Mario movie come up, even though we know it's animated and it's going to be different to what it was to Two Brooklyn Plumbers. But we need to... They really need to break out of that stigmatism of video game movies being bad, and I really think Detective Pikachu is a great start to that. I just hope that with what's happening with Sonic, maybe that they've taken this into account now that they would have seen the directors and all that shit would have seen Detective Pikachu on early access probably, half a month ago. So I'm guessing that that was impartial to their decision of we need to make Sonic more true to what the fans want, and I think that's a really good start, and I hope that they can make that succeed, and it also comes out and becomes a really decent movie. And I hope that we can break out that stigmatism and make video game movies great again, I guess. Not
oh god, yeah. Don't word it that way, please.
No, it's hard to word it.
He's currently got his red cap on, saying "Make video game movies great again." Don't you?
Oh yes. So, god damn it. So yeah, I don't know. I guess that's just what I want that comes out of this movie, because honestly, it was such an enjoyable experience, and it really encapsulated what I love about Pokemon. In terms of how they're portrayed,
because it's an awesome world.
It's
an awesome world that needs to be sort of brought to the forefront more often.
And seeing it in such beautiful CGI as well.
Yeah,
all the Pokemon in the CGI, they obviously did look like CGI. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
It's really hard to make something that was never real in existence look real.
The whole time, you're not I can't tell the difference between that and the real animal. Of course you can.
Of course you can. But at the same time, they did it in such a way that they had realistic features. Obviously, again, Pokemon were wet. Some were furry. Some were scaly.
Psyduck's feet, which are just duck feet.
Yes,
exactly. They look real, yeah.
And they didn't look out of character for those characters. They looked like that's what they would look like in real life. They would have disgusting webbed feet. Machamp would have veins in his muscles. Just stuff like that.
Yeah.
You would think that that would just make sense. So it's a really good step forward.
It is got I don't know if you saw this on Facebook and social media a few years ago, but do you remember all the sketches of the real life Pokemon?
Yes.
Well, that guy was hired by this movie team to make those, and that was really cool to see. I remember just going through all 151 designs he did of those Pokemon, and it was really cool looking at them there. And
yeah, they were dope. They were great.
Translated awesely to the
and I'm glad
the big screen.
I'm glad he got hired for this, because he was very he was a very dedicated artist, dedicated to making realistic looking Pokemon, if that makes sense. So it was just sort of I'm glad that they brought someone on that had that much passion, and they were kind of what would this Pokemon look like? And they'd pick a Pokemon for any region, and they'd be like, here's what it would look like. They go, okay, we'll put that to an animator and we'll work on that and make it look like that. Do you know what I'm saying? He did the 151, the original 151, but yeah. I don't know how much he did past that, or if he did at all. But, Pokemon like Buffalint, Ludicolo,
Every time I think of Ludicolo, I just...
He's great, alright?
Yeah, I know, he's great.
The Apom, the Morolol, stuff like that. Stuff that's out of the first generation, which really a lot of people who go see this movie that weren't invested in Pokemon after the first generation are probably oh, who's that Pokemon? I don't know who that Pokemon is.
That's not a Tauros.
Well, maybe it's time you found out.
Maybe it's time you went down to your local video game shop
and pick up a Pokemon game from the recent generation and play it.
Well,
maybe not Sun and Moon.
well, no, it's Sun and Moon. Why not?
I think Black 2, White 2 is probably the most inclusive generation with Pokemon from all generations.
Oh yes, but yeah,
I think Black 2, White 2.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the best one if you were gonna. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. All right, Bryce. Anything else we'd like to say about the movie before we wrap things up?
No, TLDR, good movie. Go watch it.
Go watch
Honestly,
it.
if you're listening to this podcast, you've pretty much listened to the length of the entire movie in a podcast form, but told really not in a worthy way. You need to go watch the movie because it really is great. And for those that did watch the movie, I'd love to hear how you thought.
What your thoughts were.
Yeah, what your thoughts were. How you thought about it, and what you got from it, and would you like to see more Nintendo IPs adapted? If so, which ones? I think there's a lot of a lot of stuff that, especially nowadays, Nintendo can approach so many more things now that, art's getting more realistic and fleshed out and stuff like that. We
animation as well.
We watched the old Fire Emblem special before we talked to Spike Spencer last year, and that old Fire Emblem special, Marth was known as Mars. That's how old we're going back here. Is Marth was known as Mars.
Yeah,
that's quite a long time ago that he's been referred to as Mars.
Yeah, when the translators were just like,
what's Marth?
Yeah, what's Marth?
I'm going to name him Mars.
Martha?
Marth's a good name. I like Marth.
Oh, Marth's a brilliant name.
But, stuff like that. Even just, with the Fire Emblem stuff, having an anime about Fire Emblem. That would be cool. Yeah. I'd watch that.
Well, I don't know if you remember the marketing material from Black and White 2, the anime.
That too.
That was so awesome.
It was really good.
It's amazing. And
a live-action Zelda would be good as well if they did it properly.
Yeah.
I mean, you had that... Or, hey, a CGI Zelda like that old fake Majora's Mask trailer from about 2 years ago.
Well, there was the DreamWorks cartoon. Did you see that?
No.
Oh, there was a DreamWorks trailer or something with Zelda, not Zelda, but Link fighting someone. I can vaguely.
Oh yes, I remember that.
That looks really cool.
It looks really good, but it's quite outdated now.
Yeah.
But just having something like that sort of, really push on would be great. I'd love to see Nintendo video games in more media done correctly, like Detective Pikachu was. It's a really good starting point, and that's what I see from this movie. I don't know. With critics and stuff like that, I don't know what they see this as, whether it was supposed to be like the penultimate Nintendo movie or something, but I think this is a really good launch pad for great Nintendo movies and media.
Yeah. Well, you can see the difference just in the Metacritic there. IGN's giving it a 80. They think it's great. They're people that are video game people for the most part. They've got their movie department that is separate, so I assume they're all versed in video games as well.
Yeah.
But you've got other places which are just film orientated who might not be into video games and Pokemon. They're putting it lower because they don't have the attachment to
the Pokemon series. No, absolutely.
Which is I guess it could be a reasonable way of looking at it, because a lot of people watching this film might not be into Pokemon, and this is a great way to bring them into the fold.
Well, like I said, that's the problem with well, it's not a problem for me, but with Pokemon from different generations and stuff, most people think of the original 151, and a lot of people that haven't grown up with Pokemon, but they played the first one when they were little and they liked it, but they didn't. They never grew up with it. They don't really give a shit that's past that 151. But we do. We're Pokemon fans, and I thought that all the Pokemon that were in the movie were portrayed great. And I think that's what's important here, is that it stays faithful to the media that it currently is, and not just what it was in the past.
Yeah. Absolutely, yes. I might go and watch this movie again. I liked it that much.
Yeah, no.
Or I'll definitely be getting it on Blu-ray or whatever.
If I had the spare time, I would definitely go and buy another ticket and go watch it again.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it that much. And I mean, I will buy a Blu-ray of it.
Yeah, I will too. Yeah.
Because to me, it is the best triumph in a video game movie in a long time.
I want to support it. I want to see more of these Pokemon movies.
Yes.
Whether the Pokemon company keeps it rolling, or Nintendo jumps on and puts more of their stuff there as well.
And if the Mario movie's good, I'll buy a copy of that on Blu-ray too.
Yeah.
That's the thing as well, is if you're interested and you want to see more stuff from them, go see the movie.
Support
pay
it.
For the tickets, support it. And hopefully, we get more like that.
Yeah.
We'll eventually get that Smash Bros. Cinematic universe.
Oh. We'll get to Smash Brothers Endgame and we're like, oh no.
Mr. Game & Watch died.
Oh no.
Beep, 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 beep.
No.
Beep, beep, beep.
Alright guys, thank you very much for listening to the House of Mario episode 96. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe on your podcast service of choice and leave us a fantastic 5-star rating on iTunes or whatever other platform allows you to do ratings.
Rate, yes.
As far as I know, iTunes is the place to be, so please rate us on iTunes. We are a part of the hashtag 8-Bit Collective, so if you'd like to follow us and the other podcasts on the collective as well, go to your social media of choice, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and follow the hashtag there.
Foursquare, yahoo.com, ICQ,
Yes.
everything. Remember ICQ?
And if you'd like to talk to us and our awesome community over in our Discord, you can go find the invitation in the show notes below. And Bryce, that brings us to the end, my friend. It's been a good...
quite an episode. It's probably the longest episode we'll do in a long time.
Well, episode 100 coming up, baby.
Yeah, that's true.
They might go for 24 hours. Might be.
Jesus Christ! I don't think anybody will listen to that.
No, I won't. Yeah, I'll edit it. If it was 24 hours, I'll edit it down to like half an hour. So there's nothing interesting in the rest of that time, guys. So Nintendo Jukebox this week is by kidshunsone. Kidshunsone.
What?
It's all one word. I'm trying to figure out what he's actually.
Well, I'll tell you what. Turn the laptop to me, and I'll tell you.
Kidshunsone.
Kidshunsone.
I butchered that one. And it is a...
You butcher names in general. We all know that.
Yeah, well...
Anybody that listens to this show knows you butchers names.
Yeah, you got to cut them up.
You butcher, not butchers. Shut up, me.
Your butcher's names.
Your butcher's names.
Your butcher's names, you son of a bitch.
Alright,
so this is a Pokemon dubstep remix. It's Lindsey, Stirling, and Hugo...
Kurt?
Is that what I said?
You said Kiwit.
Oh, my brain is dead. And it's a really cool remix of the Pokemon theme.
Cool.
Until next week, au revoir.
Arigato sayonara des. I don't know.